It's your boy, man. Jay, Willie Silly, man. AKA Mr. Take It Easy. Before you end up like Beezy, man, make sure y'all follow my Twitch, man. Subscribe to my second channel. Everything you know about your boy Jay is in the description down below. But look, man, I don't feel sorry for Deion Sanders. I'm gonna just keep it real with you, bro. You dug your own grave, my boy. You know, and one thing I can say, Deion, boy, one thing I will say, boy. Hey, how y'all feeling? Look, let me go and say this, y'all. Like, do y'all want me to get college football 27? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people have been asking me. I know I'm gonna scare off a lot with the conversation right quick, but a lot of people have been asking me, you know, when I'm getting back to gaming. And for all my new subscribers and new viewers, you know, if you want to go check out my gaming, I got over some freaking, bro. I got so many gaming videos, bro. You know, a lot of them. Everybody know I'm a college football god. You know what I mean? Everybody knows, the real ones know I'm a Madden god. You know what I mean? Put a lot of belt to booty. But you know, I really was gonna start back gaming when GTA 6 came out. But I heard college football 27 supposed to be adding new equipment and all that. So I'll probably check out college football 27 just to see what it's cracking on. You know, but what I was finna say is for Deion Sanders, one thing I can say, man, the most legendary, you know, I told him bust out my AP, perfect timing. I'm gonna keep it real. That college era, bro, was one of a kind. Now I'm gonna say that Shadur Sanders and that Travis Hunter, that Colorado junk, bro. I'm not gonna lie, that junk was OD. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about, bro, I'm going to get a, you know, y'all see your boy, little sleeves fade or something, little slick or something. You know what I mean? But I'm going to get haircuts, man. Every time everybody talking about Colorado. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I think Colorado was bigger than, at that time, I think Colorado was the most talked about football team in the nation. I'm college, NFL, nothing was bigger than Colorado, bro, when it came to Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter. So we got to give Deion props when it comes to that. The whole world was watching Colorado, bro, even me. I ain't never watched Colorado a day in my life. After they won that TCU game, oh, God. Well, you had Colorado fans talking about they going to beat Bama. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about, they not really Colorado fans, they Deion Sanders fans. But I'm finna scare off the lot again. Deion, the thing is, he dug his own grave, man. You know what I mean? I feel like Deion, bro, and Deion, see, the thing is, Deion, you still have a chance to redeem yourself. You have a chance to redeem yourself. Deion, if I was you, I would go back to HBCU and make the HBCU just as big. If you would have stayed at Jackson State, Deion, it wasn't about money. Sometimes, bro, when it comes to us darker people, bro, a lot of y'all so based off, so ran off money. Bro, that jump was bigger than money, Deion, bro. You feel me? Because you got to realize all these white schools would be nothing if it wasn't for us. We make Alabama, bro. We make Auburn. We make them. They're nothing without us, bro. Before we came there, they were nothing. They knew they had to come get us, bro. Most of the superstars on the field is dark. So imagine, Deion, if you would have stayed at Jackson State. You think Alabama would be something without us, bro? Think about it, y'all. Will Alabama be Alabama without us? Heck no. Will USC be USC without us? Heck no. None of these schools, none of these SEC powerhouse schools will be anything without us. So imagine if you would have stayed at Jackson State. You had Travis Hunter commit you. Imagine if you would have stayed at Jackson State. You would have still been at Jackson State. Bro, Jackson State would have been bigger than Colorado. Jackson State would have been, but they seen it. They seen it. And they're like, okay, we got to go get him before he take all of our players. They seen the movement you was doing, but they seen it. This was all planned and orchestrated, bro. That's one thing. That's what they do, bro. You know what I mean? They intervene. Oh no, he's taking so much attention away from the white schools, man. We got to go get him, man. We got to throw a change at him, man, to bring all the attention back to us.
Everything that has a beginning.
He fell for the bait.
He
fell for the bait, man. I would have stayed, man.
I see the end coming.
You can't be dead. You can't be.
I see death.
He fell for the bait.
Mr. Sanderson.
He fell for the bait, y'all. He didn't even need the money. That's
the Deion Sanders Colorado experiment has now concluded 3 full seasons, and it's been chaotic. It's experienced everything from record-setting television numbers, to a Heisman Trophy winner, to locker room controversies with one player comparing the environment to a real-life Grand Theft Auto video game. In 2023, Deion Sanders took over one of the worst programs in the country and has made great efforts to change its culture and build a college football powerhouse, which is what many of his supporters expected. After all, they were the fourth most bet team to win the national title in 2024, despite winning just 4 games the previous season. And for moments, we've seen some magical things take place. So what are we to make of the Coach Prime era in Colorado to this point? There's been a lot of hype, crazy storylines, good football, terrible football, unprecedented transfer portal movement, and Deion's health issues. There's a lot to unpack here, and what I want to do in this video is go year by year detailing what has gone down. Then at the end, wrap it all up with a summary of why things have transpired the way they have. Now, one aspect of Coach Prime that you gotta give him credit for is he's always styling. Athletes and former athletes either have a sense of style or they don't.
He's saying nobody committing to HBCU's game. You should be kind of sad though. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing about color folks, man. You know, you're gonna support the white man before you support your own, the person that looks like you. You be quick to support the white school. You know, Alabama and Auburn, all them owned by white people, right? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, tear down about the HBCUs. But yeah, uplift them though. That's one thing that y'all do a lot. See, I ain't like that, bro. You know what I mean? I help out my people first. You know what I'm saying? I help out, I want to go, I want to help, you know what I'm saying? That's just me personally. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, go ahead and just, you feel me? You said he wasn't, my man, what you mean? Travis Hunter, the #1 player in the nation, bro, committed to Jackson State. You ain't hear what I'm saying. Everything I just said went out the other ear, bro. He could have made HBCUs like that. He could have made it like that. What you mean, bro? Everybody was committing to Jackson State at the time, bro. You feel me? A person that would have never committed to Jackson State committed to Jackson State, Travis Hunter. He wasn't going to commit unless Deion was there. That's an HBCU. You know that. You know Jackson State HBCU, right? Players was committing to Jackson State because of him. If he would have stayed at Jackson State, HBCUs would have been so different by now, bro. Everybody would have been committing to HBCUs, bro.
A lot of us, including me, fall into this lack of style category, and I'm usually dressed not so impressively, much to the dismay of my wife. Luckily, that's where today's video sponsor, Viore, comes in.
I don't care about no video
20%
sponsor.
off. Now, they were atrocious. Since 2003, Colorado has been an afterthought with just 1 double-digit win season since then. In the 6 years prior to Deion's arrival, Colorado finished with 5 or less wins every season, capping it off with a 1-11 debacle in 2022. Then, Coach Prime showed up. In one word, his arrival was loud.
Uniforms may not even look like they look now. The places, I guarantee it's gonna be some special.
That was my boy Xavier right here. Y'all know he was a quarterback on my Langston Hughes team. My boy Xavier. You know what I'm saying? Was a quarterback on my Langston Hughes team. Bro was a quarterback. Right when Deion got there, I ain't see Xavier no more. I'm a boy Zay.
This is already taken care of because I'm bringing my luggage with me. And it's Louis. Okay.
With lights and cameras everywhere, Deion Sanders immediately set a new standard. He also brought in over 50 transfers, setting a new NCAA record.
Yeah, quarterback is coming. Yeah, about 10 more of them coming. And they dogs. And they gonna hunt and they gonna eat.
Shortly after his arrival, Colorado saw over 50 scholarship players leave the program through the transfer portal. This level of volatility was unprecedented. Coach Prime often talked about his strategy, which he called the 40-40-20 plan with recruiting. Basically, it's try to get 40% of graduate or older transfers, 40% undergrad or younger transfers, and 20% high school recruits. This was quite the ambitious plan considering how many older players that they would have to replace on a yearly basis. Colorado quickly became the most enticing story in college football. Whether you loved or hated it, everyone was paying attention and eager to see if Coach Prime could pull off some video game-like magic, rebuilding a program overnight.
Please say hello to the most electrifying man in sports today, Coach Prime.
Betting odds had this 2023 Colorado team winning 3 to 4 games, which, although it seemed low, it was an improvement over their atrocious 1-win season in 2022. Scheduled to go play number 17 TCU on opening day, the game became...
Bro, when they freaking won that game, bro, oh my God, I was watching the game. I remember bro, when they won that game, y'all, boy, and I mean the whole nation, you couldn't tell, everybody was Colorado fans after that. Not me, you know, I mean, I'm a Bama boy. You feel me? But when I mean everybody named Mama was Colorado fans, everybody named Mama was Colorado fans. I ain't never seen such a hype game in my life. That's one thing I can say, bro. I don't think I'm going to ever see an era like the Sanders and Travis Hunter era again. I'm going to keep it real with you. You know, we always had attention. Bama always had attention. But not like that. I'm going to just keep it real. Not like that. That right there, bro. You know what I'm saying? Everybody. There would never be an era like that again.
All-time classic, and it would set the tone for early on in the season.
They wasn't Colorado fans, bro. They was bandwagons, bro. But no era. That was a good time to be alive, bro. College football. I feel like that summer, bro, leading up to the football, that was an underrated summer, bro. You know what I mean? Honestly, that was an underrated summer, bro. I'm gonna keep it real with you, bro. Coming out with college football, bro, 25. You know what I'm saying? That jump was underrated, bro. You know what I'm saying? Then, you know what I'm saying? And then going into the college football year, you know, that was a good summer, man. That was a good year, man. You know what I mean? That was a good year.
Into game number 1, Colorado was 21.
I thought it was going to be tough.
But instead of a blowout loss, Shedeur Sanders threw for over 500 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah, Colorado going to be tough.
Winner with 4 minutes remaining in the game. Colorado pulled off an incredibly exciting back-and-forth high-scoring thriller, which immediately boosted their hype to another level.
We do things that have never been done, and that makes people uncomfortable.
The following week, they hosted Nebraska, and Colorado dominated that game. All of a sudden, many people were thinking, was this Colorado team about to make some sort of crazy playoff run? Their next game against rival Colorado State would garner massive attention nationwide.
And I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses.
Look, I don't talk. Look, I do what the freak I want to do. I'm tired of all these little made-up rules. You know what I'm saying? All that little taking off hat. If God ain't say it was wrong, it ain't wrong. That's how I live. If God ain't say it was a sin, guess what? I'm cool with it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all be making up all these little rules. I ain't with all that. I don't live by y'all rules. I don't live by all these human rules. I ain't got to take off my hat if I don't want to take off my hat. I ain't got to take off my glasses if I don't want to take off my glasses. It ain't a sin, so it's cool. You know what I'm saying? All the little human rules, I don't live by the human rules, you feel me? You know what I mean? Straight up. You ain't got to take off my hat, I ain't got to take off my glasses. What are you talking about? See, humans want to control everything. You know what I mean? You delusional. Come on. Give a dang about your human rules. I don't live by y'all rules.
Well, Colorado State would garner.
Yeah, talking about take off your hat. Take off your hat. I never took off my hat. If I had a hat on, bro, I talk to you with my hat on. You know what I'm saying? I talk to you with my glasses on. The frick are you talking about, bro?
Nationwide.
And I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses
Shut
off.
up.
That's what my mother taught me.
Trying to get out here and be the best coach I could be.
That ain't what your mother taught you.
Read some bull junk that Dan said about us.
It was a game that nobody was.
Name what your mother taught you.
2022.
Good for your mother.
2023. It set ESPN's all-time college football regular season streaming record, peaking at over 11 million viewers.
So what that handshake gonna be like after you whoop on Colorado State in the middle field? No handshake or any handshake?
It was also Colorado's first
Heck,
ever
you talking
sellout
about?
in school history, and the game didn't
Freak, bro.
disappoint. Colorado was massive 24-point favorites, but they struggled to build a lead.
Hey, look.
This
Oh,
game
that
had
was
everything.
crazy. Hey, bro, when you hit Travis like that, I ain't gonna lie, I know we all wanted to slide. Am I the only one that can't listen to Lil Wayne, though, y'all? No, I mean, I don't know. I seen Lil Wayne. Am I the only one that I can't listen to, bro? I don't know. I can't listen to bro. You know what I'm saying? That's just me, honestly. I ain't gonna.
Had celebrities on the sidelines. It was chippy, got controversial at times, and just when it seemed like Colorado was going to lose, they somehow pulled off an improbable touchdown
This
drive.
is an
to send it to
amazing
overtime,
season.
And they went on
Hyped
to
up,
win
bro.
in double OT. The hype went through the stratosphere for Colorado.
Bro, they would've beat Oregon?
Oregon. It
Bro, they
became the
would've
most
beat
watched Pac-12 game since 2006, and its peak viewership of 12.6 million made it the most watched regular season game of the season.
The Cinderella story is over, man. Right? They're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins. There's a difference.
Y'all the most fraudulent team ever in life. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie, you the most overrated head coach ever, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand the hype about this man. Man, staking his head beat in. Like he stole something. Got his head beat in again. I don't understand this Dan Lanning hype. Bro, it's not one of those at all. He just play an easy old schedule, and then when it come to playoff time, get his head knocked off, get straight belt to booty. Now, I mean, he beat on trash teams. He beat on BJ teams. He ain't nothing when it come to them big boys.
Right? There's a difference. Right? This game ain't gonna be played in Hollywood, it's going to be played on the grass.
It was too bad that it became a sobering reality check for Colorado, as by halftime, they trailed 35-0, eventually going on to lose. This became the turning point. Colorado would lose the following week after nearly coming back against USC. Then after defeating Arizona State, their biggest gut punch of the season came against Stanford. Colorado built a commanding 29-0 lead at halftime. Then they proceeded to give up that lead and lose in double overtime.
It all started when we gave up on the 97-yard touchdown, which was flat out ridiculous. That's when it all started. That's when all the foolishness, all the complacency, all the mess started.
This felt like the wheels had come off the tracks. They would lose to UCLA, then Oregon State, then Arizona, then they got blown out by Washington State, and finally they lost to Utah to give them a final record of 4-8. Imagining them only winning one more game after starting 3-0 almost seemed impossible, but that's just what happened. Their defense outside of Travis Hunter was terrible from the beginning, and their offensive line had become a clear issue later in the season as Shedeur was constantly running for his life. He was sacked more than any other quarterback in the country, and his season ended early due to a fracture in his back. With year one in the books, it's safe to say it was a mixed bag. On one hand, the team completely fell off the wagon after an awesome start to the season, which was disappointing. But at the same time, revenue for the athletic department took a huge leap.
Y'all see that? Like, what if he would have did that with Jackson State? Y'all see what I'm saying? If y'all already know, Jackson State numbers was through the roof. Through the roof, bro. Now imagine if he would have did that with Jackson State. Jackson State could have been better. You know what I'm saying? Could have been better. You know what I mean? Than Colorado. Colorado wasn't pulling in that many views. You feel me? That's what I'm saying. It could have been better.
Increasing by over $30 million. From a roster standpoint, it became clear what Coach Prime needed to do to fix this team. And year two would once again see massive volatility for Colorado in the transfer portal. They brought in over 40 new transfers, which was more than any other team. They also had over 34 players leave the program, which was also near the top. Along with the huge shift in personnel, there were also the massive conference realignments taking place, which included Colorado. With the move from the Pac-12 to the Big 12, once again, they weren't expected to be a dominant team, as odds makers had them winning around 5 to 6 games, ranking them 11th in the conference. Despite this, many outsiders had faith in Coach Prime's rebuild.
Because they didn't have the money. That's what Coach Prime is for. Coach Prime would have took a pay cut and could have built it up. They got to have the money. I mean, Jackson State ain't got the resources because they ain't never had that much revenue. You know what I mean? But shoot, they could have paid him if he would have stayed. If he would have stayed and would have built it up, the program, you know what I mean? Then they could have invested in their players and in the program. You know what I'm saying? But you got to stay. You got to stay, bro. These don't happen overnight. You know what I'm saying? You got to stay, bro.
They were the fourth most...
Freaking powerhouse program don't happen overnight. It don't happen in a year. You know what I'm saying? It don't happen in 2 years, bro. Gotta wait it out. He wasn't patient for the process, bro.
On team to win the national title. Things got off to a bumpy start. They escaped against FCS team North Dakota State, then got worked in their rematch versus Nebraska the following week. In the post-game press conference, Shedeur basically blamed the offensive line for his struggles.
How many times did Riley get touched? They was able, like, of course, whenever you're able to run the ball consistently and whenever you're able to, then that opens up the pass, you know? But it's just like you got to understand, like, what your team good at. So it's like, why would we keep running the ball if, okay, we out there and we get in a situation where it's a must get and we don't get it?
This was controversial at the time, but Colorado would find their stride, first defeating rival Colorado State handily, then beating Baylor by a touchdown, then cruising to victory in blowout fashion versus UCF. To that point, Travis Hunter was putting together a season for the ages. He was averaging nearly 10 catches, over 100.
Trying to tell y'all he a better wide receiver than cornerback, bro.
While also dominating defensively.
Just
it
facts.
was truly incredible, and his level of play would continue.
He a better wide receiver than
Shedeur
cornerback.
was also killing it by putting up monster numbers. The next 5 games saw Colorado only lose once, which was a tough last-minute loss to ranked Kansas State. But it would become clear that Colorado had taken a step forward as a program. That and the benefit of not playing teams like Oregon, USC, and UCLA due to the conference realignment. Colorado went into a late November matchup against Kansas with an 8-2 record, and Colorado was ranked 16th in the country, their highest rank in 8 seasons. But it was a rough game for them. they lost by double digits. They did respond the following week by crushing Oklahoma State 52-0 off the back of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter putting on a clinic. At the end of the regular season, Colorado had overcome all expectations. They were a legit team that had 2 bona fide stars. Shedeur Sanders went on to finish 4th in the Heisman, and Travis Hunter won the award after doing things on the field people hadn't seen since his coach was still playing. They went on to get blown out in the Alamo Bowl versus BYU, which was a tough ending to the season. But still, so much had gone right in 2024, with 2 potential top 5 picks, making a bowl game, and finishing with 9 wins. This was the peak of Coach Prime's Colorado to this point. 2025 began with quite a bit of uncertainty for Colorado. Once again, they had one of the highest numbers of transfers leaving the school in the country with over 30. And once again, they had a huge influx of incoming transfers. So it was safe to say that Coach Prime was living and dying by the transfer portal. But there was a glaring weakness in this strategy. Deion Sanders struggled to attract good offensive linemen to the program. This was evident once again, as Shedeur was the most sacked quarterback in the country. There were no signs of a developing run game, as they finished dead last in rushing yards and yards per carry in 2024 by a country mile. They were so much about Shedeur and Travis Hunter that the school honored them by retiring both of their jerseys during the spring game of 2025.
Shedeur Sanders had his jersey number retired at Colorado this year, and people are saying it's because of nepotism, because of his father, and it's not. It's because he went 13-12 over his career and he almost won the Alamo Bowl. Definitely not nepotism, right? All right.
Now,
my boy, I don't care about none of that. Yeah, of course, you gonna, yeah, of course, you know what I'm saying. But name a Colorado player that hit more to the program. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. Yeah, it wasn't nepotism. He actually was a good player. He's not Bronny. You know what I'm saying? I realize, you know what I mean, his player, team, but his team, yes, the team success, but when it comes to individual success, he was a top 10 pick. I don't know what the freak happened in the NFL, but you know what I mean, he was literally one of, or if not the best quarterback in college football. You know what I'm saying? That's facts. You know what I'm saying? So please, please name a Colorado quarterback that's ever been better than Shedeur Sanders, my boy. Nepotism is a kid getting favoritism. Like Bronny is nepotism. Arch Manning is nepotism. Somebody that's not good. Somebody that's only getting attention because of their freaking parent. You know what I mean? He's getting attention because of Deion, but he's not getting. I feel like Shedeur could have started anywhere. He's not getting special attention because that's his son. You know what I'm saying? He actually good. Actually a good player. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, ain't no nepotism, you know what I'm saying? And that era that was in Colorado, that's never been done before. They turned Colorado into something that Colorado's never been. Colorado was pathetic before Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter got there. Pathetic. You know what I'm saying? They put Colorado on the map. You can't name players that did that in Colorado history. No players was more important than Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter ever in Colorado history. They most definitely should have got their name retired.
It's because he went 13-12 over his career and he almost won the Alamo Bowl.
That wasn't funny.
Definitely not nepotism, right? All right.
Now that Coach Prime didn't have arguably the best player in the country on his roster, and he didn't have his son, who was a proven college quarterback, he was going to need to find at least some decent replacements if Colorado was going to do much of anything in 2025. In terms of quarterback, he hoped either the #1 overall recruit Julian Lewis or Liberty transfer Caden Salter was going to be the answer. But the summer was tough. Coach Prime had to take a leave of absence that caused him to miss most of the summer of 2025 to treat and remove a cancerous tumor in his bladder. This was scary, and just one of the many health issues he's experienced in recent years. Since 2021, he had undergone 14 surgeries for a variety of ailments, which included having 2 toes amputated. Despite a period of uncertainty, he returned to coach his team with the quote, "I'm back, baby." Regardless of how you felt about Deion's personality, there was no denying this resilience and toughness that he had to get back on the saddle and lead his program. The 2025 Colorado football team was expected to take a step back after losing key players, but they ended up taking more than a step back. Caden Salter won the quarterback competition and led Colorado out on opening day versus Georgia Tech. and Colorado lost by 7. The team found their footing against the weaker Delaware the following week, but Salter struggled while out there, and Deion benched him in favor of third-string quarterback Ryan Staub to preserve backup Julian Lewis's red shirt. Salter later mentioned how this benching shook his confidence. With Staub, Colorado got manhandled by Houston, and Coach Prime was not impressed with Staub's performance. He ended up going back to Salter the following week. Against Wyoming, Salter looked like the guy they expected him to be, as he threw and ran all over Wyoming to a commanding victory. The following week was their toughest test of the season to that point, playing number 25 BYU. And Colorado, despite struggling offensively, held a lead most of the game, but they fell behind in the fourth, and Salter struggled late in the game as they went on to lose. Their next game saw a similar fate. Salter struggled with multiple turnovers, and TCU pulled away late in the fourth. The high point of their season came against ranked Iowa State the following week, when the team battled to pull off an impressive victory. It was a well-rounded team effort. However, the following week was a humiliation ritual. Utah jumped out to a 43-0 lead at halftime. It was like watching Georgia play Savannah State. Salter was benched once again after an abysmal performance. Utah ended up having 587 yards compared to Colorado's 140. Deion himself had this to say.
This is bad. It's probably the worst beating I've ever had, except for when my mama whooped me.
Colorado would get blown out the following week, then proceeded to lose their final 3 games to finish with a record of 3-9. By the midpoint of 2025, nobody was talking about Colorado anymore. They were a bad team that didn't have much going for them. There was some drama early on to talk about with the quarterbacks, but by midseason, nobody cared on the national scale. They finished with the second worst offense in the Big 12 and the worst defense in the conference. The team performed a lot like Deion's first season if you take away Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders and replace them with average to below average level college players. Here's some potential reasons as to why things have gone poorly outside of 2024. Number 1 is a lack of roster balance, specifically a weak offensive line that hasn't gotten any better since Deion's arrival. The heavy reliance on portal over high school players has made it very difficult for Colorado to build solid structural cohesiveness. There's a really good quote from the New York Times that says the following, quote, "It's exciting when you flip someone else's roster. It's detrimental when you do it to players you personally brought in. That's treating players like commodities, and it's a tough sell for future recruiting efforts, both in the high school ranks and in the portal." Now, in fairness, this is a much larger issue than just for Colorado, but they are the prime example of this. Number 2 is coaching and management. To give Deion the benefit of the doubt, having the health issues he's experienced would derail almost anybody from being successful. Also, from a game planning and management perspective, Deion would be the first to tell you they've struggled in this department. Their complete misuse of timeouts were a reoccurring issue that was talked about after games. And from a coaching staff perspective, there isn't much reason to have faith in it. The coordinators have been bad. Players don't develop. It's a mess. And number 3 is cultural issues. I'm just gonna go over 4 quotes from a Sports Illustrated article back in 2024. Quote, "It's a real-life Grand Theft Auto video game," one former player said. "There are many distractions with fights, guns, and money floating around. The environment is unlike any I've come from before." This was a report that Deion claimed was false. Then another player said this, quote, "I feel like I just don't want to play for clicks. I actually want to be involved with a great leading program that's going to develop players." Deion later suggested that this player's work ethic was inadequate.
Yeah, McClain, you know what I'm saying? McClain, whatever his name is, haven't heard from him. You know what I'm saying, honestly. He was a 5-star coming out of high school. Yeah, you just been BJ, so I don't think Colorado was the problem when it came to you. You know what I'm saying? You were just BJ, bro. You know what I'm saying? You just been BJ. You know?
And for the next quote,
he was terrible.
Receiver
I actually seen you
Mathis
play.
allegedly punched
terrible.
backup quarterback Colton Allen because of not wanting to repay a gambling debt of over $10,000, according to the report. And for the last quote, it involved Tavarish Dawson getting dismissed from the team after an incident with Coach Prime. Quote, the former 4-star receiver described an incident back in January that resulted in Coach Prime going off on him. He informed CU's coaches of his intentions to head home to Florida for his daughter's first birthday. When he had flight delays and was hours late returning to practice, the tone with Sanders and others changed. Coach Prime started talking about how I let down the program, especially Shador, by coming back late. He told me he was going to take away my playing time and was upset. I spoke up for myself. Coach Prime told us to be responsible and take care of our family. That's what I was doing. I told him it was nonsense that I was being punished for being present for my daughter, but Shiloh and Shador could miss a week for a fashion show. Prime lost it and started cussing me out and told me to pack my stuff in front of my teammates. At the end of the day, every college football program has drama going on. You're dealing with damn near 100 young men trained to be as aggressive as possible, with a ton of money on the line. It just feels like everything's amplified with the type of culture that Deion encourages, with all the flash and cameras around, along with giving the superstar treatment to certain players, which included in the past his sons and Travis Hunter. In 3 years, Coach Prime has a 16-21 record at Colorado. However, the off-field landscape has shifted tremendously for the university. Based on this Sports Illustrated article, Colorado now has the greatest value of any non-Big Ten or SEC school. That is a major feat. The athletic department saw yearly revenue nearly double from 2022 to 2025, and the university as a whole saw a 20% increase in student applications since Deion arrived. The Prime effect has been real. But even though the university got the attention they were looking for, the athletic department is still suffering massive yearly deficits due to increased spending on things like Deion's contract and spending more on players in the portal. However, it is worth mentioning that most college athletic departments have yearly deficits. So what are we to make of the 3 years so far? Well, at the very least, it's given college football a spark. Coach Prime took over a dead program and brought it life. At times, this experiment has provided us fans some of the most entertaining moments both on and off the field.
What about me would make you think that I care about your opinion of me? Your opinion of me is not the opinion that I have of myself. You ain't make me, so you can't break me.
Oh, word.
Best coach in college football, right? Let me see a mirror so I can look at it.
Yeah, I like the confidence, but you are not the best. You are not the best coach, you know what I mean? College football. Confidence, you know what I mean? We got to give him a round of applause with confidence, you know what I'm saying? Confidence. But you can't really say you're the best coach in college football if you continue to lose, you know what I'm saying? So you really can't say that. You gotta prove it now. You know what I'm saying? You gotta prove it. You gotta prove you are, not by proving it to people, proving it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Cause you can say, oh yeah, I'm the best. It's like me saying I'm the best boxer in the world. And I keep getting my head knocked off. And I keep saying I'm the best boxer in the world. But yet I'm like, what, 0-10. You know what I'm saying? You ain't clearly the best.